Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, baby. So, where we left off on the last podcast was just kind of dipping into the Illuminati a little bit. And you were asking me, like, have they already written history a long time ago and it's just kind of playing out? And yeah, I mean, I would say that they're definitely hundreds of years in advance. And you would say, yeah, right, they can't, who could plan that far ahead? But you don't understand the planning that goes on. This is 13 of the richest families in the world, been organized since ancient times. They got such a crazy network that they can change things up anytime that they want to, and they can plan that far ahead. And also you got to think, if Satan is behind these families, Satan can plan that far ahead. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's revealing things to them for future playbook that they might not even see. Their job is to organize it in their lifetime, and then 100 years down, somebody else is the one who actually follows through with whatever plan it was. And this is one way I'll explain it. Have you ever heard of a guy named Albert Pike? I think I mentioned it to you before.
Mm-hmm.
Albert Pike was in the Illuminati. He was a huge high up Mason. Basically wrote the book on Masonry, and has books out where he's a known Satanist and admits to having conversations with Lucifer. All right. So back in his time, 1800 something, I believe, maybe even earlier, he has a statue of him in Washington. But this dude, Albert Pike, writes a letter to this French king, I believe it is, and it's called the Three World Wars, and this is before World War I. I want to say like 100 years before. And he writes and tells the king, all right, World War I, this is what is going to happen. This is who's going to fight who. And this is who's going to win. And this is what the purpose is. This is what we want to accomplish from World War I. World War II, same thing. Writes out all the details, what's going to happen. And you're like, no way you could plan that far ahead. Well, World War II, the purpose of World War II for him was that the nation of Israel was created. Well, why would the devil want to create the nation of Israel? Isn't he trying to destroy the nation of Israel? Well, he had to create the nation of Israel to get them basically all in one place. Now, there's still Jews all over the world, but to get them a network of home where everything goes down. So World War II was to establish the nation of Israel, and that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was about 1960 something when it finally completed, but maybe 50 something. But so then you're like, all right, well, he wrote about the Third World War? No way. Like, all right, well, what's the purpose of the Third World War? Well, the second one was to get everybody in one place, the nation of Israel. Purpose of the Third World War is to destroy the nation of Israel completely. And that's what we read about in Revelation. So it's literally some guy who said that he communicated with Satan. He writes out a play-by-play booklet of what we read in Revelation, since, John wrote it way back when, after Jesus died. So it's wild to think about that both sides are planning, and Christians, our job is to witness and tell people about Jesus, and their job
to divide
and destroy until the big battle. Yeah. All right. Enoch chapter 7, 1 through 6. It's talking about the Anunnaki. All right. Basically the sons of the Nephilim. Okay. So these giants in the book of Enoch, we think of giants like Goliath, right?
Right.
estimated Goliath's height was, I think, around 9 feet or something, which is huge. I mean, we have 7-footers or whatever still today, but 9 feet is insane. That's small time compared to the original giants, right? It says
40 feet or something.
Well, it says that they're 300 ells, which I had to look up. Ells are closely related to a cubit from the Bible. This would make them approximately 450 feet tall.
Oh.
So you were talking about dragons and how big they were the other day. They wouldn't seem quite as big to a 450 foot tall,
right?
Giant. And Greek mythology talks a lot about this as well in the War of the Gods, right? So I just wanted to throw that in there. Moving on to Enoch 8, where it talks about all the different angels. So Enoch 8, first it talks about Azazel, which I looked up in Hebrew means scapegoat. And of course the devil's often referred to representation as a goat, right? So I threw in Leviticus 16:8 if anybody wants to look that up. But let's go on to the other angels. Azazel, scapegoat, is interesting because he did kind of take the fall. Satan as well took a fall with his curse, but Azazel took one as well. Azazel, this is what he was in charge of teaching people, the fallen angel Azazel. And he was more in charge of a lot of these angels. So he taught them how to do swords and knives, shields and breastplates. He taught them the ability to kill and defend. So basically, Azazel was responsible for creating wars, because without the weapons, it really takes a whole lot to kill a person. Not that you can't kill them with a rock or whatever, but once you got a blade involved, it changes everything. He also taught them metal working, of course, to make the blades, bracelets and ornaments. Let's see, antimony, and I had to look that up. You don't know what that means, do you?
No.
He taught them antimony, which is the chemical elements of atomic number 51, brittle silver metalloid. So it's a way of working metal. All right. He was also responsible for the beautifying of the eyelids. I mean, what do you think of that today? The way women are with the eyes and all the different things they do to them.
I'm surprised there's not a makeup store like all the ones they have that's not called Azazel.
There might be. There's probably a brand of makeup called that in some way, But the beautifying of the eyelids, if you think about the Egyptians, they took it to the extreme with the eyes. And I think that it's kind of coming back because women are really branching out with how much makeup is on the eyes and the artificial eyelashes.
That's my favorite. They can go without any makeup, but I like the eyes.
Yeah. And Azazel knew you would. I'm just kidding. He taught them about costly stones, coloring tinctures, medicine made by dissolving a drug in alcohol and a slight trace of something, and
Get out of here.
heralding any of the conventional colors used in coats of arms. So coats of arms would be like what you would wear to war or whatever, and he taught them how to use different colors and stuff. Why would you think he taught them how to do colors?
I don't know. That's what I was sitting here trying to think.
So you can tell who's on whose side.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot easier to kill somebody if you're like, oh, we killed the guy in the red shirt, and they're trying to kill the guy in the blue shirt. You know what I mean?
I need some shirts with targets on them. They don't miss.
So this dude's straight setting everybody up how to kill each other, and also teaching women how to become do makeup and be more beautiful, which I'm not a big fan of makeup. I think that for the most part, women look better without it. I don't mind a little bit, but I hate when it's overdone.
No, I do too. That's why I said it's just the eyes. I love it.
Mm-hmm. These things help lead to godliness and fornication.
I figured that's where this was all going.
Yes. All right. Then we're on to Semyaza. He was a big boss of the angels. He taught enchantments and roof cutting, which I thought was not roof cutting. Excuse me, root cutting.
Okay, I'm about to say this guy was a carpenter.
No, he was teaching them how to do shingles and flashing. No, I just misread it. My T and F kind of look the same. So root cutting, which root cutting can be good things. I mean, we think ginger root. We use ginger and all kinds of stuff. But there are some other roots that can be used for different reasons and whatnot. They could use the root cutting for those as well, the enchantment. So under a spell or magic, and also a feeling of great pleasure or delight, which is what you were just talking about. You were on to something, weren't you?
I guess.
Yeah. So, next angel would be Armoros or Eremos. I guess Eremos. He was in charge of resolving enchantments and the effect of enchantments. Do you think that enchantments are around still today?
Didn't I ask you this earlier? What enchantment was?
Now I can tell you, enchantments would be under the spell or a magic type thing. Okay. Would be an enchantment, but I think enchantments can go even further, as far as even perfume. To me, is kind of like an enchantment. Like, if a girl walks by and she has that perfect scent, and you catch the pheromone and all the different whatnots that come off, and things that we don't quite understand that make people click together.
I think I met one of those last
night. That did you get her number?
Almost.
You'll see her again if it's meant to be. Barakayo, I'm assuming is how you would say that. Barail, but was responsible for astrology.
Eric Will.
Kokabel was responsible for constellations. Ezekiel was responsible for knowledge of the clouds. Erikul was responsible for signs of the earth. Shamsiel was responsible for signs of the sun. Serial was responsible for the course of the moon. So when it says that they did the course or knew the signs, this doesn't mean that they're in charge of the movements of the sun, moon, and earth and clouds or anything like that. Constellations. Okay. None of that. It just means that they have knowledge of how they work. So all the ancient, when you watch stuff about people trying to figure out what happened in ancient times.
Yeah, so if there was an angel specifically in charge of the constellations, what is there to know about constellations? Like,
Well, first of all, the names of them. All right.
Orion's belt.
Yeah, that's one of Orion, and Orion's belt is definitely one of them. And the ancient people were obsessed with Orion's belt. And of course, I think that the fallen angels were obsessed with Orion's belt as well. To my knowledge, I'm not going to say exactly why, but a lot of people claim that that's some kind of place where they all began, or a home for them. But all the constellations are named after ancient, like Greek gods, different gods, right? Well, we're talking about the gods right now. So it was important, for some reason, to the angels that they established the names of the constellations to represent them. So basically they're remembered for all time, right? Orion, a lot of people say, oh, that's just Greek mythology. He wasn't a real person. No, I'm pretty sure he was a real giant of some form of nature, right?